welcome to the Soft Red Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Salas. Whether you're a player, coach, or simply a soccer fan, the Soft Red Podcast will take a closer look at Arizona boys high school soccer. Throughout the forthcoming episodes, we'll highlight some of the biggest games, top programs, and noteworthy players making an impact. Our guests will include local coaches, players, and soccer enthusiasts who will share their insight and experience within the Arizona high school soccer community. This week, I had a chance to catch up with number one ranked Pinnacle Pioneer head coach Justin Hughes. His Pioneers have started out the season strong with an 11-0-2 record. Coach Hughes has reached the quarterfinals several times over the last several seasons. Let's talk about his success so far this season. Hello, I'd like to welcome Pinnacle high school coach Justin Hughes, taking over the Pinnacle program back in the season of 18-19. Coach Hughes, welcome to the show. Real quick, let's talk about the season so far.
Perfect. Well, first of all, Dan, thanks for having me. As soon as you called me and asked me to join, I was like, anything for Dan. I've grown a lot of respect for you and just, your days when you're at Corona and just watching you coach and admire a lot of and think a lot of you as well. So back to your question, our season's going good. Obviously, our record shows it. We're having a lot of success this year due to a lot of energy, a lot of hard work from the boys. I would say one thing that kind of sets this team apart from years past is just this, they're all kind of collectively together. Most years we kind of have cliques, we kind of have 3 or 4 groups within the team, but this year it seems like everybody's kind of one group. And I think that's a huge part of the chemistry. And when you're trying to build something, that they all get along and that they're all, building something together. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Coach. And again, I got a chance to watch your team against Liberty in the Extravaganza tournament. And the one thing, again, I would describe it is that's a Justin Hughes team. And Pinnacle for a long time, for the history of the program, dating back to when Brock Heacock was the coach there. And since you've taken over, it's like the tradition carried over, but you've set yourself your own style. Brock again had his style, and now this is a Justin Hughes style. Always organized. The intensity is always good. Tell me about how do you guys keep that going from game to game? Is it a training thing? Do you guys talk about things maybe classroom? Describe kind of your method as getting the kids to be in that mindset and your vision of the team.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree. The intensity levels of these teams are always high. I'm constantly promoting it in practice. If I don't have to tell them 2 times of practice to bring up the intensity levels, then they're doing everything right. But they're probably annoyed how many times I tell them on the daily, let's get these work levels up, high energy, high work rate. Because we're not the best. We want to be the best, but we have to close that gap from being the best or to get to being the best. So the every practice, every game, we just got to give it everything we got and learn and grow from that.
Yeah, and like you said, we've had conversations before since you've taken over the team, the program. It's been maybe a disappointment in this quarterfinal, in this team. What do you think your team needs this year to get over that hump, to get past that crisis mentality?
A lot of luck, I'm just kidding.
No,
Injury free. That's what we need. Injury free. If we get through it all injury free, I do have a ton of confidence in our guys. But losing 1 or 2 players could hurt any team, as you know. But injury free.
Yes.
Just continuing to trust the process, trust the coaches, trust each other as teammates. I mean, it's there's a lot of little things that got to go right when you get to the next, the highest levels and semifinals. You need a good draw, you need good refs, you need, all of the above. So, just bring our A game as each game progresses and go from there.
Yeah, that's the magic. That is the magic, Justin. When you can you look at the original when Jose Garcia at AIA 365 drops the rank or drops the table for the state championship, and you're like, all right, who do we got? And maybe like that Tuesday or Wednesday, they sneak in that makeup game, and you're like, yeah, this is who we're going to be playing. We got Tucson or we got Corona in the first round. We got this, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, we got this matchup, and we all know as coaches, based on what we've seen, based on what we've played, we got a vision in our head like, I'll be good here, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, wait a second, and you show up to the field and you're like, oh no, maybe
Mm-hmm.
had this ref like 4 weeks ago, and it was a bad it was a bad day for him, and like I hope he had plenty of coffee today. He doesn't
Yep.
come cranky to the game. And you're so right. In just the 7 years, like you just nailed it. In terms of I show up, we got this, and maybe the 2 days before your center back, coach, man, I just turned my ankle, and you're like, oh.
Yep.
So, well, talk to me about some of the players this year that have stepped up. There's always a surprise player, no matter what. You get into tryouts and you go, all right, maybe, and then all of a sudden the games start, and this kid just starts stacking games, and now you're like, wow, this is good. Talk to me about some of those guys.
Yeah, well, we are led by our two big captains, Jack Peace, our center back, and Bryce Smith, our forward. Two big boys that they do their job very well, very good at defending and very good at obviously scoring. So that helps. From our leaders, they're both seniors. They've been around the block for a while. Yeah, so we if you want to talk about a surprise player, I have I have two sophomores on my team only. The rest are juniors and seniors, and I was very hesitant about pulling this kid up on varsity because he, if you're not going to play a ton of minutes, then there's no point. I'd rather you develop on JV and grow and learn, and nothing like game minutes. So. But I was like, man, there's something about this kid. I like him. He's just got the correct instincts. As the season goes on, he kind of took his time, sitting on the bench. I see it in practice. I'm like, this kid's good. It's just a matter of time before this kid comes out of nowhere and is just a dog. And, winter break comes around. I'm like, man, this kid is practicing great. I think he's earned more minutes. There was a point in the season very early where he asked, to possibly play JV. And I'm like, there's no point because you're here for a reason,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
want you. And this is a kid I cannot take off the field because he is a stud. Sophomore kid named Ivan Gonzalez. Like I said, he's big, he's tough, he's physical. He's just an all-around great defender. Maybe, one of our best 1v1 defenders. He's on the outside fullback position going against some top wingers, that were trying to beat him. And he's phenomenal. So,
And you said he's a sophomore.
he's a sophomore. Yep. So I'm very excited about that. And I struck gold with that kid because with that we don't got a weak spot on the field. So I will say too, one thing to add to that is this is one year, my first year of coaching, honestly, that I can say that I trust all 21 of my players. So I don't think I've
Powerful.
you know in years past we've struggled finding depth. At least deep depth. We've always had one or two players coming off the bench that you have a ton of trust in, but it's a hard year because we're playing tough schools, and I 1 through 21, I can honestly say that these guys are all worthy enough for varsity minutes and to play quality time. So it's hard for me because I can't get everyone on the field every game, but at the same time, it's a blessing to have these kids that are willing to trust the process, willing to understand what their coaches are coming from, and that it adds competition. So Ivan Gonzalez wasn't a starter at the beginning of the year, but with competition and great practice comes a starting spot. So, and it pushes everyone else to be that much better. So just when you got your depth guys pushing your starters, it's a huge part of success.
Yeah, no, coach, you're you that's that I'm you're so you're right about that. And I'm happy for you because I know how difficult it can be when you have, some kids start to get a little agitated, maybe get a little frustrated at your decision making. But when your decision making is like what's best for the team, and they struggle with that, but you said, hey, coach, I've got trust in my guys. They're trusting the decision I'm making. They're trusting the work that they're putting in. Coach, that's fantastic. Talking about some again, you said, hey, when the competition gets tough, you went into the high school extravaganza that Coach Drew put on. He also has the Coyote Classic, and he is such a well-known, well-respected guy here in Arizona. We're going to bring him on the Soft Red podcast one of these days. Hopefully, we'll connect. And you show up at the soccer extravaganza tournament in December, last week of December. Any idea of how you felt based on you had a good draw in terms of teams, tough tournament. How did you think your team was going to go going into that?
It was kind of early too early to tell. You know what I mean? It was super early in the season. We were in that early tournament that Drew hosted. Yeah, I agree. Drew's an awesome coach, great dude. We finished second in points in that tournament, but we didn't get out of the draw because Mesa, who won the tournament, were in our bracket. So we tied a game, didn't lose, but we tied to Gilbert in that tournament,
Right.
which ultimately cost us from advancing in that tournament.
Right.
So we just used that time to rest because Mesa was our next regular season game. I was like, let's just give everything we got in that Mesa game. That extra few days was a huge help, in that rest.
Right.
And going into that tournament, knowing that Mesa had won that previous tournament, I felt pretty good about our roster. But when the holiday extravaganza tournament kind of came around, we had some good schools obviously in that, and I liked our bracket. I knew that it was going to be very tough when you see the bracket of death. They had Liberty, I believe Desert Vista, Ironwood, and Mesa all in the same bracket. I was very fortunate to not be in that draw,
Right.
because those are four great schools. But great tournament, a lot of quality teams in there. So going into it, I was a little iffy just because the season was so young, but the boys battled well throughout that whole tournament.
Yeah, and again, I got a chance to be at quite a few of those games. And again, just to make a correction, the first tournament you're referring to was the Coyote Classic that Drew hosts at his home school, Campo Verde, and then second. And then Drew hosts also now the Extravaganza tournament. That being said, you got into the final against a tough Sunnyside team. I know Casey O'Brien over there. I got a chance to watch both semifinals that day. And going into that final, like, wow, they were really on a good roll in terms of, hey, we're cruising. We beat Hamilton, and now we've got Pinnacle to go against in the final. Talk about that game and how again, that win for you. And then we'll wrap this up and talk to me about what are you looking forward to as the season ends here? And what is your hope that you can accomplish over the next couple of weeks for your team?
Yeah, that Sunnyside championship game, first of all, it was crazy. I think Sunnyside beat Hamilton 3-2, a really good score, and that game was going on behind us, and all I heard
Right.
was cheering the whole time. So I'm like, I don't know who's winning. We got to get out of our game. But I knew it was going to be a great final, and sure enough, Sunnyside came out ready to go. Bryce Smith had a really nice header really early in the game. Outside of that, I mean, the whole first half, Sunnyside just dominated us, possession, all over the place. Their off-ball movement is phenomenal. The way that they get players involved in the attack, especially in the middle of the field. I mean, there's times where they had, four central midfielders, and it's very tough to defend if not taught to defend properly. Then again, that first half was rough. I would say our possession was 60-40 them, and we're a possession team. So
Right.
that was tough for us. That was the first team that we didn't win possession over all year. I mean, that was like game 8 for us of the season. So
Right.
second half was much better. They were still we ended up getting a couple more goals. It was 3-1, and then they came back 3-2, and then it was 3-3, and then we got the game winner at 4-3. But it was back and forth. A team that you don't want to see in the playoffs, that's for sure. Sunnyside,
Yeah.
because
No,
they're very good.
Casey is he's another young, hungry coach. He's got one
Yes.
state championship under his belt, and he's relentless.
And after the game, he was telling his kids, yelling at them about how unorganized they were. So I would be very scared if they were very organized, because I thought they were very good.
Yeah.
So that's a team definitely, that's going to be in the running for sure.
Yeah, thanks. And so from there, I want to go over a few of the rankings here. We'll talk, we'll wrap this up. We'll talk about some of the top teams. So 6A, we've got Pinnacle, Sunnyside, DV, Liberty at number 4, Perry at 5. Tough loss to Corona del Sol Friday night, a 3-1 loss. Jason Berg, quality. They're mature kids over there. I think, again, got caught on a bad day. I think they'll rebound. Castile, up-and-coming program at number 6. Kofa, Jamie Neiswanger over there, another Jedi in Arizona high school soccer. Shadow Ridge at number 8. San Luis at number 9. Never Say Die, San Luis. And then finally, we've got TJ Hagen and Mesa rounding out the top 10. In the Open, we've got some not necessarily surprise, but again, these are the contenders in the top 10. You've got number 2 Independence. You've got number 3 AZ College Prep. Let me tell you, anybody listening to this, Jeff Perry at AZ College Prep is so well prepared and organized in his teams. Another Arizona Jedi high school soccer coach. Number 6, Washington. Number 9, Saguaro. And finally, ALA Gilbert North, rounding out the top 10 in the Open. In regards to you, Pinnacle, you're number 1 in both. Again, what can your team do to hold on, get into the state tournament, and have a good run?
I mean, it would be huge to maintain that, top 2 seed. Getting home field advantage all the way through the finals is a huge accomplishment in itself. Home field. I've said it all along. Home field advantage is big time. We don't want to go to Tucson. We don't want to go to San Luis and play them there. We want them to come to us. Again, everything's got to go right. Soccer. One mistake on any given night, and the score's 1-0, and you're out of there, and a bad bus ride home. But just constantly, keeping those intensity levels, that work rate high, trusting your coaches, trusting your teammates to keep that going. And I do like this group of guys a lot, and they can definitely achieve that. But again, our schedule, I would be shocked if it's not the toughest in the state. By last game, we still got to play Desert Vista. We played Castile. Mesa's also a very good team. We play Liberty again. They're in our region. So it's going to be tough to get out of there undefeated like we are. I'm just telling you, it's soccer, as you know, Dan, and it's very tough. So
the competitiveness across Arizona high school soccer right now,
it's very good.
There's no one really. It's not a horse getting out in front. It's not, there's not one player that's like, wow, they have finished the sentence. It's one team to the next on a good day, bad day, everything. Again, I'm so happy for you, Justin. I'm going to be looking out for, again, those tough games. I'm going to try to get out to as many high school games as I can. If anybody out there is interested in me getting out to the game, put a comment in the comments there, and I'll see what I can do. And I know most of the again, the top 10 schools is what I'll genuinely be focusing on, and we'll move on from there. Again, Coach Hughes, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to the rest of the season. I hope for the best for the Pinnacle players, and good luck, Coach. Thanks for being on the podcast.
I appreciate that, Dan. Thank you very much.
All right, Coach. We'll talk again soon.
That sounds good. Thank you.
You got it. Bye.
I know you